So welcome to Sueño de Vida here in Ecuador, our bamboo house. And I've gotten a question from one of our Patreons, well, two of our Patreons, Manu and Leo, in Southern California. And they really want to know about our power system and how we got our power hooked up. So first thing, we lived here for 3 years with zero power. And people think that's like really crazy. But actually, when you get used to it, it's actually a really beautiful thing because you get really used to the rhythms and waking up with the day and then going to bed when it's dark, and it actually like wasn't all that bad. The hardest problem that we had was then during quarantine. I really wanted to start expanding our digital outreach like with the rest of the world, and we didn't really have enough power to juice up our phones all the time. We were using like one of those like fold out camping solar chargers that you just like hook to your backpack. Like that's all we had. So when your phone was out of juice, you just stopped using it for the day. And I was getting to the point where I needed to write. I still don't have a computer. I do all my writing on apps, and it's totally possible. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but it's not the hardest thing in the world either. It just makes you really efficient. And so anyway, but when we decided that during quarantine, we wanted to expand our digital outreach, I knew I wanted to do more writing. I didn't really have anything else to do, and I was like, okay, I'm going to write, and then I'm on my phone, and I'm on docs, and I'm running out of juice all the time. It was really frustrating, so we decided to finally invest in a small power system. So now we do this, and we have these really cool bottle chandeliers that Juan made, so we have lights that come on. We're able to charge our phones. You can plug in a computer here. I think we'll get one pretty soon. And we have enough juice to charge up a blender and a couple other small appliances. So now I'll take you over to the power system so you guys can see exactly what we have. Okay, so here we are where we have our little power system. We've just got a panel installed here on the roof. It's 275 watts. This is a small system, but for right now, it's all that we need. And then if you're thinking about doing any kind of off-grid power system, these are the things that you absolutely need. So you need a panel, number one, and then you need an inverter, number two. So what the inverter does is it takes the power that comes out of the panel, which is in AC or DC. Who knows? Anybody?
What's the question for
the power that comes out of the panel, is it in AC or DC? It's in AC. And then what the inverter does is it converts it over to DC so that you can plug things in that have like a regular prong fork, okay? So that's what your inverter does. And then the other thing that you need is a controller. And the controller is what distributes the charge out to various things like the battery, for example, which I'll show you next. And the controller helps to show you like how much charge you have in your battery and stuff like that. So you need an inverter, number one, and you need a controller, and then you need a battery. So we've got our battery down here in this box, okay? And that's pretty much it. It's a really simple system. You can see on here we've got 500 watt inverter. So that means even though our panel is 270, it's only 275, we could add another 225 watt panel and we wouldn't overwhelm the inverter. So something to keep in mind if you're doing your own power system is that the inverter is really the most important thing for measuring. So what you would do is figure out how many appliances you would ever have running at the same time. For us, it's only ever like phones, lights, blender, maybe. That's pretty much it. Total up all the wattage per hour, and then that's the minimum number of watts you need, okay, for your inverter. Because panels can always be added, and a battery can always be added, but whatever your inverter is, that's pretty much it. So if we wanted to expand higher than a 500 watt system, we would have to buy a bigger capacity inverter. You only ever have to turn the inverter on. This is the on switch, right? We don't hear the noise over in the kitchen. It just makes a low hum. You only ever need to turn that on if you're actually plugging something in that you're converting from AC to DC. You can see we have USB plugs here, okay? Very small, 5 volts for charging phones. We've got one here, and we've got some extra ones down here that Juan installed so we can be charging several phones or tablets at the same time. And the USB is able to take the charge directly from the panel into whatever it is that you're charging. It doesn't have to pass through the inverter, so it's much, much more efficient. So if you're buying things where you have a choice to choose between whether it charges via USB, or a regular plug-in, prong fork, choose the USB, because it's a way more efficiently made thing, and you're using a lot less energy when you're charging via USB than you are with a prong that needs an inverter, okay? Just keep that in mind if you're going to go to your own system. USB is the way to go. Other than that, that's pretty much all the technical explanation I have, and so it's very simple. We've just got the panel, the inverter, the controller, and the battery, and that is all that we need. And even though we're kind of like out here in the middle of nowhere, we got these parts in Quito. The whole system cost about $450. It wasn't very expensive, and we brought the stuff back here ourselves, and he installed everything here in his handy dandy little messy workshop. Okay.